Robotics is one of the branches of engineering which uses multiple mathematical concepts such as coordinate geometry, vectors, calculus, matrices, and linear algebra. So in this video, or a series of videos if I am not able to fit all of them into a single video, we'll cover topics such as coordinate transformations, rotation matrices, forward kinematics, and inverse kinematics, and possibly motion planning. Let us first start with coordinate transformations. Assume I represent my robot with the help of first this link, which is fixed here on the ground, and then I have another link like this. Now there is this thing called end effector, which is attached at the end of this link like this. This end effector can be anything like a camera, a gripper, a laser pointer, whatever the robot is designed to use to interact with its environment. This is the same as the structure of your hand from the shoulder joint. Before we get into the maths, I've made a short animation to help you picture how the robot moves. There are 3 sliders, one for each part of the arm. The first slider lets you rotate the base link, which is the part attached to the ground. You can see how the base link moves as I adjust its angle using the first slider, causing the entire arm to swing around from its fixed point on the ground. The second slider moves the next part of the arm that's connected to the base. Observe its motion as I rotate it using this slider. And finally, the third slider controls the rotation of the end effector. Now I will press the animate button. The whole robot arm will move by itself in a nice, continuous motion. See how the motion of each part affects the final position and angle of the end effector? That end effector is what the robot uses to do its job, so understanding how its position changes is super important. This is where coordinate transformations come in. Suppose this end effector has its own local coordinate system, which we also call the moving frame, and represent it by M. And, as the name suggests, this coordinate system transforms, which means it can rotate and/or translate along with the links. Now assume our object is placed at this point in space with respect to the end effector, and we call it a vector small x. Now there is another coordinate system called the global frame, which is at the base of this robot, like this, which we also call the fixed frame, and represent it by F. This coordinate system doesn't move at all, and thus it is called fixed. Then, if I want to find the position vector big X, which is the position of the same object, but now expressed in the fixed or the global frame, we need to transform the coordinates from the moving frame to the fixed frame. This transformation is done using a transformation matrix, usually denoted T. It combines both rotation and translation and allows us to map coordinates from the moving frame to the fixed frame. So our big X is expressed as T times small x. Now, if somehow we are able to find this transformation matrix, then we can compute the global position of any point or object that is expressed in the moving frame. In practice, T is usually built using rotation matrices and translation vectors, and we'll now look at how exactly this matrix is constructed. For coordinate transformation, we have 3 different possibilities. The first possibility is pure translation, where the moving frame M shifts its position relative to the fixed frame F, but does not rotate. Assume this is our fixed frame, and this is our moving frame. We can easily notice that we have only translated from the fixed frame to the moving frame by a vector d. In this case, suppose if we have a point here which is defined as vector small x in the moving frame, then the vector big X of this point in the fixed frame can be found simply by adding the translation vector such that big X equals small x plus d. Here, d is simply the origin of the moving frame, expressed in the fixed frame. Let us look at an example. Suppose the moving frame M is translated 3 units to the right and 2 units up from the fixed frame F. Now, assume we have a point here, which is 1 unit to the right and 1 unit down with respect to the moving frame. what will be the coordinates of this point in the fixed frame? Since the moving frame M is translated 3 units to the right and 2 units up from the fixed frame F, this means the translation vector D is 3 and 2. Also, we said that the point is 1 unit to the right and 1 unit down with respect to the moving frame. That means we are describing the point's position with respect to the moving frame, and thus vector small x is written as 1 and -1. To find the position of this point in the fixed frame, we simply add d to the vector small x, which will give us vector big X as this, which will be 4 and 1. We can verify the same visually. This is 3 and this is 1, so this will be 4. Now this is 2 and this is 1, and thus this will also be 1, so its coordinates will be 4 and 1. The second possibility is pure rotation, where the moving frame rotates with respect to the fixed frame, but does not shift its position. In this case, the transformation involves only a rotation matrix R. If this point is small x in the moving frame, and if it is represented as big X in the fixed frame, then big X equals R times small x. Now, in order to find this R, suppose we rotate this moving frame M by an angle theta with respect to the fixed frame F. If this length is 1, then what will be the coordinate of this point with respect to the moving frame? Yes, right. It will be 1, 0, and will be represented by vector 1 and 0. Also, what will be the coordinate of this point with respect to the fixed frame? Since this is of length 1, and this is angle theta, so this side will be of length cos theta, and this will be of length sine theta, isn't it? So this point will be cos theta and sine theta with respect to the fixed frame. Nice. Now if this length is also 1, then what will be the coordinate of this point with respect to the moving frame? Yes, right again. It will be 0, 1, and will be represented by vector 0 and 1. Also, what will be the coordinate of this point with respect to the fixed frame? Look clearly. This angle is theta, and since this is 90 degrees, this angle will be equal to 90 minus theta. Now this is also 90 degrees, and this angle is 90 minus theta, so this angle will also be equal to theta. Since this is of length 1 and this is angle theta, so this side will be of length cos theta, and this will be of length sine theta, isn't it? So this point will be minus sine theta and cos theta with respect to the fixed frame. Now, let R matrix have values A, B, C, and D like this. Multiply R with 1 and 0 to get this, which then becomes the vector A and C. But this must be equal to cos theta and sine theta. This is because this 1 and 0 represent the point in M frame, which is equivalent to small x vector. And if we multiply R with it, we get the vector big X, that is the vector of the same point in F frame, which for this case is cos and sine theta. So A equals cos theta and C equals sine theta. Then we will multiply R with 0 and 1 to get this, which then becomes the vector B and D. But this must be equal to minus sine theta and cos theta. So B equals minus sine theta and D equals cos theta. Substitute the values of A, B, C, and D, and we will get the matrix R as this. Note that we generally take the anti-clockwise direction or counterclockwise direction of theta as positive and clockwise as negative. This type of transformation is common in robotic joints that rotate but do not translate. The third and most general case is when the moving frame undergoes both rotation and translation. Here, we combine both the rotation matrix R and the translation vector D to get big X equals R times small x plus D. Let us understand this with an example. Suppose the moving frame M is first rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then translated 3 units to the right and 1 unit up with respect to the fixed frame F. Now, the rotation matrix R, for a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation, is a 2 by 2 matrix where the first row is 0 and -1, and the second row is 1 and 0. We obtained this by substituting theta as 90 degrees here. The translation vector d is 3 and 1, since we are translating 3 units right and 1 unit up. Now assume we have a point somewhere in the moving frame, say at 1 and 2 somewhere here. This means the point is 1 unit along the x-axis and 2 units along the y-axis in the moving frame. So small x equals 1 and 2. To find the position of this point in the fixed frame, or big X, we first multiply the rotation matrix R with the vector small x. Multiplying this with 1 and 2 gives us a new vector, which is -2 and 1. Then we add the translation vector d, which is 3 and 1, to this result, which gives us the final result x equal to 1 and 2. Let us verify the same visually. If this is 3 and this is 2, then this will be 1, which means x-coordinate is 1. Then if this is 1 and this is 1, this will be 1 plus 1, or 2, which means y-coordinate is 2. Hence, verified. Great! This shows the power of matrices and vectors, how we easily computed the final position without relying on tricky geometry or complex constructions. Now, let me show you a more powerful idea. Suppose instead of one moving frame, we have multiple moving frames. For example, consider this fixed frame F, then we have a moving frame M1, which is translated by D, one vector, and rotated by an angle of theta, one which is angle between F and M, one like this. Then we have another moving frame M2, which is translated by D, 2 vector from M1, and then rotated by an angle of theta, 2, which is angle between M1 and M2, like this. Now, if I have a point here like this, which is given by vector small x, with respect to moving frame M2, and if big X is the vector of this point with respect to fixed frame F, then how can we determine big X in terms of small x? To do that, we will first determine the coordinate of that point with respect to M1 frame. Let that vector be y. Since the transformation from M2 to M1 involves a rotation by theta 2 and a translation by d2, we can write y as r 2 times small x plus d2, where r2 is the rotation matrix for theta 2, which is given like this. Now, y is the position of the point in the M1 frame. To get the final position of the point in the fixed frame F, we apply the transformation from M1 to F. This involves a rotation by theta 1 and a translation by d1. So big X becomes r, 1 times y, plus d1, where r, 1 is the rotation matrix for theta 1, which is given like this. Substituting the value of y in this expression, we get big X equals r, 1 times r, 2 times small x, plus d2 plus d1. Expanding this, we get big X equals r, 1 times r, 2 times small x plus r, 1 times d2 plus d1. This gives us the final position of the point in the fixed frame, where the first term, r 1 times r 2 times small x, combines the rotations from both moving frames to adjust the point's position relative to the fixed frame. Then the second and third term combined together is kind of a translation of the moving frame M2 with respect to the fixed frame F. That was out of this world. By the way, let me show you some magic. Multiply this r 1 times r2. We get this. This allows us to compute the total rotation directly without separately handling each angle. Look here and make this horizontal line. This angle will be the same as theta 1, right? Because this is M1 and this is F. So this angle between M2 and F will be theta 1 plus theta 2, and thus now this combined rotation matrix becomes quite intuitive. Awesome. Okay, now, do you remember that big X was expressed as t times small x, and I said that somehow we have to find this transformation matrix? We will do this by combining the rotation and translation into one matrix. In order to make this possible, we have to adjust the way we write our vectors and matrices. Normally, R is a 2 by 2 matrix and D is a 2 by 1 vector, but we cannot directly combine them into one matrix and multiply it with X unless we expand things a bit. So what we do is, we convert both big and small x into a 3 by 1 vector by adding an extra value 1 at the bottom. Then we write our T matrix as a 3 by 3 matrix like this, where the top left 2 by 2 block is the rotation matrix R. The first two entries in the last column are the translation vector D, and the last row is simply 0, 0, 1. This setup allows us to perform both rotation and translation in one single matrix multiplication. When we multiply this T with the modified small x vector, the result is the final position vector big X in the fixed frame. Now, we are ready to perform forward kinematics on the robot. But we will do the same in the next video only if this video gets 10,000 likes. Also, you can support my channel by joining our community and becoming a member. So good.